distinguished resume. And he's back-to-back PRs. You know you're rolling.
Confidence begets confidence. Results get results. That was an unbelievable finish there. Justin Kipkoech really driving hard down the backstretch, passing Henry Witt. I did not think that I would see that, AJ, that early in the last lap. And then Festus Legat just sort of sneakily riding that inside rail the entire race. We didn't talk about Festus Legat. We didn't talk about the likes of John Rennie-Wicki. We didn't talk about Drew Hunter because it was those other athletes up front challenging for the lead, pushing for that pole position. And yet those others just got to ride the train to glory. And that was really incredible running from those top 6 athletes. I can't say enough. This has just become one of the best 1,500 meter races on the planet Earth. Monaco, then Oxy.
Well, you're not wrong. The numbers aren't lying right now. That was something else. I mean, it was a championship race, of course, but you look at the top 3 times from the trials: 3:30, 3:30, 3:31. Honker, Nagus, Kessler. As we take a look, we try to move on here to Brooks women's 1,500 meter. Karissa Schweizer, national champion 2022 in the 10,000. This is quite a loaded field as well. Schweizer, Hiltz, Sifan Hassan, just a couple of names we're about to see.
This race, unlike the last, AJ, full of Paris representation. We've got Courtney Wayment, who came away from that unbelievable women's steeplechase, stepping down here, sort of just like her BYU counterpart, Kenneth Rooks. Something's in the water up there in Provo. Courtney Wayment taking on the 1,500 here. Look for her to run a big personal best. Karissa Schweizer stepping down again from that 10,000 and 5,000. 10,000 meter U.S. champion, but deciding just to run the 5K at the Paris Olympics. Not going to run the 10,000. Or I may have that backwards. I have that backwards. Don't quote me on that. Whittni Morgan, the late ad because of that pullout into the 5,000 meter team. Incredible running from her. Nikki Hiltz doubling back. We'll see if they choose to go the whole way or if they pull a Brandon Kidder and just make this race incredibly fast for the rest of the field.
Looks like Caitlin Tui is a scratch out of this one. Former national champion at North Carolina State.
Yeah, we unfortunately haven't seen Caitlin Tui on a start line for a little while. I hope she's doing okay, doing whatever ailments or injuries she might be having, overcoming those expeditiously, but look forward to seeing her back on a track sometime soon.
The gun is off for the Brooks women's 1,500 meters. Nikki Hiltz doubling after their victory earlier in the 800. Susan Anino listed as the pacer for this one, the lone pacer listed. We're underway here in the 15.
Susan tasked to go through. Yeah, sorry, AJ. Susan tasked to go through 4-minute pace for this race. So again, these would be PRs for a lot of the women in this race. Karissa Schweizer has run 4 minutes for the 1,500 and very much willing to be the person that goes with the pacemaker tonight, putting distance between herself and the rest of this field very early. We'll see if that gap can close up here as the race goes on. But right now it's Aneno and Schweizer with about a 5 to 7 meter gap back to the rest of the field.
Determined first lap from Schweizer. You mentioned that personal best in the 1,500. That was July 2020. Jesuit High School, Portland, 4 flat, 0.02. 62.5 on the first lap. If you hear that over the PA, Schweizer has a bit of a gap over the competition here. Nearly 500 meters in.
Josette Andrews trying to claw the rest of the field back to the heels of Schweizer, but Schweizer and Anano sort of getting away from the rest of this field right now. Exciting, though, to see Courtney Wayment stick her nose in there. Whittni Morgan sitting in about 5th finisher's position right now. Obviously with a lot of wind in her sails after being called up to Team USA, finishing the trials, feeling that sense of disappointment, only for the surprise of getting that late call after a scratch from Schweizer.
Schweizer looking very strong at the moment right now. We're coming off the third place finish at the trials in the 5,000 where she ran 14:45. Pacing duties are done. Schweizer's by herself. Now the question is, can the pack catch up? Nikki Hiltz has moved up from where they were essentially the third pack to this big section of runners, all chasing Schweizer at the moment.
AJ, this is vintage Karissa Schweizer, just not afraid to attack from the gun. We love to see it. I feel like we saw at the trials a little more reserved running from Karissa, but here we're seeing her full of confidence in her abilities and her fitness, which is a dangerous combination for an athlete like Schweizer, who's just gritty as all get out. She's got 20, 30 meters on the field right now.
Schweizer has only run one 1,500 this year. That was in April. The Oregon relays went 4:08.66. Coming up on the bell lap, Schweizer crosses at 2:56. What does Schweizer have in store over the final 400? All by herself at the moment. Chase pack has strung out, but looks to be no closer to Schweizer.
2:56 is bang on 4-minute pace with Whittni Morgan, as we were talking about, the newly crowned Olympian in second place with Josette Andrews a distant third, but Schweizer powers on the backstretch and Whittni Morgan really trying to go to work and close that gap. She's running fantastically well. This is going to be an insane PR for Morgan, but Schweizer with 200 meters to go looking at 3:30, and here comes Morgan.
This race looked to be all Karissa Schweizer, but Whittni Morgan has made a surge and now is on her heels heading into the final front stretch. Morgan surpassing Schweizer on the outside. About 100 meters to go. Morgan out in front. Can Schweizer cover the move? Whittni Morgan down the front stretch. What a race this has been. Morgan's going to hold Schweizer off. 4:02 for the win.
Whittni Morgan, you could see there feeling the pain, which is a hard-fought 1,500 meters, but also we see now the joy of victory. Morgan congratulating Nikki Hiltz on what I assume was a fun double for their day. 4:04 for Nikki there, finishing third in that 1,500 meters, but what a run from Whittni Morgan. That was an incredible close. Morgan closed in 63:28 to Schweizer's 66. Schweizer obviously really trying to get after it in the early stages. There's Coach Diljit Taylor, excited for her athlete. Courtney Wayment running 4:09, so maybe not having the day that she was hoping, but also very excited for Whittni Morgan. This is approaching the bell lap. There is 20 meters separating Whittni Morgan and Karissa Schweizer, which she makes up over the first 300 meters of that lap and then goes to the front and never looks back, using that 5K strength to hold her form as well as she can, swimming in lactic right now. Wishing the finish line would get closer, as it appears to get further with every stride, but Karissa fights back, tries to close again. Wasn't going to be for that day.
Looks like Schweizer might have one final move, but it was not to be. And for Whittni Morgan, that is a 2+ second personal best in the 1,500 as well. A gutsy final lap. Yeah, 20 meters as Schweizer hit the bell. Still plenty to take away from this for the former national champion. Whittni Morgan will enjoy this one.
As I said, that has to have been quite the roller coaster of emotions, AJ, after her 5K final, not thinking that she had made Team USA, probably not even getting the tap on the shoulder to go to team processing, only to be called up later because of a scratch, and then an athlete not having a ranking or a standard to go to Paris. And what that must have felt like, I can only dream.